To evolve, to grow, to develop yourself is to be human. And to be human is your personal brand. And I swear I'm drawing the connections. They're there. I promise they're there. We're going to talk about evolving your personal brand and refining it. Okay, let's go. If you're tired of the old cookie-cutter marketing advice and want to take your personal brand to the next level with bold, actionable strategies that truly reflect you, you're in the right place. Let's untangle your marketing mayhem with Zoe, the video confidence coach, on the Unboring Your Brand podcast. Unboring Your Brand was recorded on Wadawurrung land. Your personal brand isn't a tattoo. It's not stuck with you for life. Well, your reputation and your personal brand is kind of stuck with you for life, but it's something that you can develop and you can evolve and change throughout your life. You're not meant to stay stuck in 2018 when you're obsessed with minimalism and oat milk for the rest of your life. You are allowed to grow, and your personal brand is to grow with you, to take changes, and when you form new opinions and new thoughts and new ideas, that is supposed to grow with you, especially if you are in a competitive market or industry. So we're going to talk about personal brand, keeping your personal brand fresh as you grow, and making sure that it's not just when you flat out change your mind. Making sure there's a little bit of strategy behind what you do, because of course, Zoe Wood, the video confidence coach, is here to help you with marketing strategy and video marketing. Oh, what a shock. You are allowed to change. And so is your personal brand, because ultimately your personal brand is a reflection of you. You are here to serve and to problem solve and to provide a solution to the clients that you wish to work with. So in turn, your personal brand needs to be the outward work that you do to solidify that personal brand. Now, that can be via content. So we're talking like email lists, websites, social media, like billboards, like pamphlets, like everything that comes out. Like no matter how you market yourself, you are doing some sort of content marketing. And if you are not doing content marketing, I am asking you if you are running a business. Now, of course, a business brand and a personal brand are separate. You can check out my business brand versus personal brand podcast about that. Ultimately, when it comes to those things, your personal brand isn't a prison, and it is a way of preceding your reputation, but also being able to serve people when you're not in the room, to be able to get people on board, not just with your message and your thoughts, but also to help and serve them when you are not able to give them your full attention, because we all have one life and there are so many people in the world who potentially need your help. So in turn, you can do this via content, you can do this via other ways of communicating your message. Content's just usually a lot, not easier, but there's a lot more of defined strategies on actually how to do that compared to just trying your best and shooting from the hip in the wild, wild west of trying to market your personal brand and potentially any brands that you're associated with. So back to your personal brand, because we're on tangents number one, Zoe, and we're only like a couple minutes in. So you don't need to keep pretending that you love Pinterest mood boards if you're all about Notion templates now. You can give yourself permission to evolve publicly, because your personal brand is ultimately a DIY construction project, and people relate to growth, not perfection. That is something that I have personally struggled with when it comes to my personal brand and growing myself. Yes, everything is very much, not everything, but a lot of work that I do is very much tied with Video Confidence Coach. But there are plenty of projects that I have done in the past and continue to do that are not necessarily related to the Video Confidence Coach. Say, for example, a project that I run called Vic Podcasters is a Facebook, LinkedIn, and email list for Victorian podcasters. So if you're new or if you're a professional, join the community and you'll get tools, helpful insights, and a community of bright, I'd say bright, people who love podcasting and what they do. So in turn, as you can imagine, that project is somewhat related to Video Confidence Coach, but not entirely. So it's more of a me project. It's a Zoe Wood project. Then that in turn, my personal brand is imbued into the membership, and my reputation, hopefully positive, and if not, they can deal, gets people on board or helps sell the project as time comes. And if I need any like grants or any funding, that also helps with acquiring money or acquiring income for projects that are maybe not necessarily big podcasters, but any, say, volunteering that I do with a Wadawurrung co-op down on Wadawurrung country in Geelong, for example. I volunteer and help out with, I'm not Indigenous myself, but I help the community as much as I can. And in those opportunities, I want to make sure that I can draw up both attention to it and also funds and money because, well, we always need money for things, especially in the world that we're in right now. Let me get back to the point, sorry. Your audience, the community that you are growing around your personal brand, is smarter than you think. They're not dum-dums. They can tell when you're phoning it in, and they can tell when you're not really feeling it anymore, or you're doing it on the back burner. If your content doesn't feel like you anymore, it probably isn't. And if your message does not resonate with them anymore, and what you're trying to push seems outdated or just, frankly, old school, and I'm not talking cool old school, I'm talking like down frumpy old school, then, well, first of all, you're not listening to your audience in that respect. And also, you're not trusting your audience to grow with you, to evolve and change with you through their own personal branding journeys, reputation, but also just their day-to-day lives. They can make room for one more crew that gets a version of you. We're not everyone who you follow when you were 12 or 13, especially for those of us who grew up with the internet. I mean, I didn't, but I'm sure there's a high chance that you did. For people that grew up on the internet, like the stuff that you liked when you were 12, 13 is not necessarily the stuff that you like now. You are allowed to grow and evolve as a person, which in turn, your personal brand should do the same. If you update your look and your feel and your language, your personal brand should do the same too. Because, let me say it again, your personal brand is ultimately a reflection of you, what you put out publicly. And yes, the old that old Canva PDF template may have served you well in the past, but if it's giving 2020 vibes, it's time for a refresh. And it doesn't mean that you have to rebrand everything every month, or that you have to, like, for example, overwhelm yourself. And I've had this with a couple of clients where I've mentioned that they've said, like, they've been using headshots from the 80s. I was born in the 90s. That is older than me. And when people come to work with you, or they see photos of you, or they see video of you, or they see you out and about, and you are not the 80s heartthrob in your mid-20s, when you are not that now, whoa. I'm not saying that you need to completely change yourself every single month. Maybe 4 times a year, just checking in with your bios. So these are the small biographies that you have either on your social media platforms, your website, anywhere that is representing you. Maybe updating these maybe like once or twice a year. To be honest, once a year is usually what I recommend for most people, because most of the time you're not changing your message, you're not changing your foundational ethos, you're not changing very core parts of your brand and also yourself. Because not necessarily when you pick a niche that you stick with it. There are plenty of people that I work with. For example, one that comes to mind used to be a chef, used to be a personal chef for rich toy people who are very expensive. And they just found that the pressure and also just the whims of their clientele was no longer worth it. So then they pivoted from that into leadership and executive coaching. Now, that may seem like a very large swing to a different personal brand, but actually it worked really well. And turns out a lot of their previous clients are now their previous chef clients are now their actual executive and leadership coaching. And with that in mind, they were able to obviously move that personal brand slowly over time, but they were able to use the knowledge and what they had gained and the problems they had solved in their chef career to be able to use it and use it effectively in their current career. because they were able, well, first of all, they made sure to update their bios, their photos, their color palettes, their tones of voice, their messaging, all of that stuff that you would usually do in any sort of update, like you would, say, once or twice a year. But in that transition, he was able to clearly articulate that, yes, I was a chef, I am no longer a chef. So when people asked for it, obviously they're not going to do that. But making sure that they were able to use that messaging and clearly, and actually there was plenty of people who reached out to him for chefing. He says, I don't do that anymore. I serve people this way. It actually got them thinking. And then he got a fair few clientele from just not dragging people, but providing that answer to that problem, let's say. And he was able to do that relatively easily and smoothly. Why? Because he knew his message, he knew his values, he knew his core understanding of why he was put on this earth. He knew his why, as the Cynics and as the Simon Sinek people would say. To have a motivating factor that is not just inside you, but beyond you, helps you with that personal branding. So you could change your career every 5 to 10 years. Sure, whatever. I don't think that would be great for your psyche or your stability, but hey, everyone has their different feelings when it comes to themselves. And there's plenty of people who I know who can no longer work in the career that they were in before because they aren't able to, say, make it out to the oil rigs or wherever the hell they were, or they may not be able to physically do it anymore. That is okay. I am very much myself in that respect. I was someone who ran a videography company since I was 14. And then I went through cancer treatment and couldn't, for a very long time, my hands shook like crazy. I've slowly gotten them back kind of under control now. But I still find myself that I get a lot of people still asking for my videography skills. And yes, the video confidence coach kind of, when I was still a little bit unclear of my own personal brand, it was still very messy and still very weird. But in time, I have been able to utilize that and, well, not just provide those services, but to be able to push with my values and push my understanding for the problem that I'm solving. Because when people came to me, they just didn't want just a video. They wanted a problem solved. They wanted a strategic understanding and direction of why they're using video in the first place. So that's what I did. I became the video confidence coach. And now I no longer do the physical like videography work. And depending on the project, I help out with the editing, but I also am that producer, that director for those larger clients. Keeping in mind, I only do those like 3 to 4 times a year because they're a lot of energy and effort. But I have those skills that I'm continuing to use. But most of my effort and focus is in marketing and strategic direction, helping people build their personal brands and not having it to be perfect to do so. Which goes on to my next point, that when it comes to your personal brand and when it comes to evolving it, especially in public where everyone, your family, your friends, your nan, your aunt, and also like your ex-colleagues or maybe even your current colleagues can see this and see how you're changing and evolving, can sometimes leave people feeling a little bit self-conscious that they have to be perfect when it comes to the public, like being able to change and like change their mind when it comes to how they present themselves, not just online, but in person and wherever their personal brand ends up sprinkling throughout the universe. It is okay not to have a perfect rebrand. I have conducted a fair few myself that haven't been very perfect. And I have gone through it, the whole process myself multiple times. It's okay for it not to be perfect because perfection is just procrastination in a cute outfit. Something not necessarily cute like mine, but cute nonetheless. You don't need a big dramatic reveal like your Beyonce or insert other current popular artist. You start small. You update a post, you change your Instagram handle, and you make sure that you back it up, not just with the message, but you take action as you evolve. You don't wait for things to be finished because they will never be. They need to grow organically, and you need to show people that you are making this change. And if you're making this change, to be honest, most people, when it comes to making very dramatic changes within their personal brand, it is usually because of either a personal situation within your own personal life, or maybe you've just burnt yourself out. You're fed up with whatever you've been focusing or the problem that you've been solving for people up until that point. Now, I'm not saying that you need to burn all your bridges and say F off and then move on. But if you need to do that, so be it. You will develop, you will grow and cultivate another community of people who love you and serve you and are great fans of you when you have decided and ultimately chosen your message. Now, again, I'm not saying that your message has to be the be-all and end-all when it comes to your personal branding. Like I said, it's a bit messy, and for a very long time, I was very messy too. It took me a long time to actually build consistency through my values, not just my aesthetic. As someone who has worked in marketing their whole lives and who is very much self-taught, I had a tendency of leaning on my aesthetics a lot more when working with marketing and brands. It became very clear that instead of just moving from a vibe shift, I actually had to focus on core values, because those core values anchor you. Now, these core values can be something as simple as like a various list of values that you can Google or search via AI and have a list provided to you. But they're just words at the end of the day. You need an understanding of those core values behind you to support you. What I can even do now is go through my own system and look up my own core values. I look at this around about once or twice a week. I just don't remember off the top of my head. But say, for example, my vision as it currently stands is to be the go-to guide for my clients, helping them become bold, authentic video storytellers. I want to light the way for our clients and share their true selves in every frame. Now, of course, that's a little bit poetic, but that very much captures what I want from my vision. And my mission, which is my action to take, is to lead by example, is to give my clients the tools, support that they need to shine on screen or to achieve their goals. I want to coach and inspire and walk alongside my clients as they build their confidence and grow their video presence. My values are authenticity, growth, inclusivity, honesty, innovation, accountability, and kindness. Now, of course, I can go into much greater detail as to each one of those things, but by the token of that, you understand that my value and my vision and my mission is what I'm trying to achieve. And hopefully you're seeing that in not just the work that I provide in this podcast, but in the work that I do both online and in person. I want to build consistency with my values, and I want to be able to anchor that both in myself and my marketing, that I can be authentic and build connection and have people be seen. That's where ultimately where the work that I do fits in. Where does that work for you? What are the things that you can clearly say and clearly articulate? And you might need to workshop this a little bit and write things down and remind yourself on these things. Once you have decided, and once you have been able to articulate in a couple of sentences even, what those mission, value, and vision is for yourself and your brand and your business brand, that can help anchor you. You can let those guide your messaging, no matter how the visual shifts and aesthetics of your brand may shift and change over time. Your personal brand is not a one-hit wonder. It's more like a Spotify Wrapped, changing each year, wildly changing. And sometimes you have slumps where you look back and you go like, ooh, I was struggling there a little bit, wasn't I? Or maybe your Spotify Wrapped may have been taken over by your child and you've got a whole bunch of either angsty teen music or, God forbid, Wiggles. But your Spotify Wrapped should hopefully always be you. And your personal brand should be a reflection of you and what you want your people to achieve. So go ahead and give yourself a little brand makeover if you're feeling a little bit stale about what's going on. And it's not selling out, it's showing up, because that's what your personal brand is about. If you need help navigating your brand evolution or what next steps to take for your personal brand, you can make sure you can find me at vcc.training. I have plenty of products and tools, and if you need to, you can always just book in a Pick My Brain session where you can give me some details, I'll do some research, and we'll have a chat about ways and actions that you can take next. I also run a Glow and Grow branding session, which has a lot more direct actions, details, and everything that backs up what I'm saying. But happy to go with whatever works best for you, and hopefully we can work together. So we can revamp your color palette with a strong flat white, or a latte, or a hot chocolate, depending on your flavor. So if you have a real life example of this or need something specific niche, make sure you comment either down below if you're watching this on video, or make sure you comment on Spotify or the live stream or the show notes that you can find in the description below. Make sure you give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, because that's how we grow and we help more people like yourself wanting to grow their personal brand with video marketing. Thank you for listening or watching Unboring Your Brand. You can find detailed show notes with tools, offers, and episode transcriptions. Just click the first link in the description or go to vcc.training/podcast. Get involved and ask me anything about personal branding, video strategy, or just a friendly small business chat via my email, g'day@vcc.training. That is gday@vcc.training. The Video Confidence Coach would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which I record my podcast. I pay my respects to their elders past and present. I stand with the traditional custodians of these lands in working towards a more equal future. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Look forward to me chatting at you next week, superstars.